This one is very cool. This is the episode I did with Leumas on Chant It Down to release the trailer for Sacred Site, which is the documentary that I helped him research, and I have a small part in it. And I'm very humbled that I've been given such a role in a documentary, being the first one for Unlocking the Code. There's a laundry list of people on this documentary, and the fact that I'm on the list is very humbling, and I'm very appreciative for the opportunity. Before I get into this one, in this episode I talk a little bit about the WF and Göbekli Tepe and the fact that they're not doing any research there anymore. And look, I'm not saying for a second that you shouldn't be very wary of what any Davos group is doing, and the Davos group did build the shelter at Göbekli Tepe, and they do have some involvement. I got an alternative perspective from Brothers of the Serpent episode 340 with Andrew Collins. Andrew Collins is on the list of guests I'd love to get onto the show this year. However, he puts a different spin on it, and he's been in Turkey for probably the longest time. He's been studying Karahan Tepe for a very long time. I've read a lot of his work, and it's good work. So, yeah, it's not exactly true. And I think the thing is, guys, we've all seen, or not we've all seen, however, some of us would have seen the reel that said that the WEF is stopping research at Göbekli Tepe and blah, blah, blah. We've got to be very wary of disinformation, misinformation. Again, I'm not backing the World Economic Forum at all. And we need to be very, very, very wary of anything that they do. However, with the modern world that we exist in, we must think about misinformation and disinformation. So I do go on about that a little bit in this show. However, the other thing that I want to make sure that I do here at Unlocking the Code is make sure that I'm honest and that my integrity is ensured, because I saw a different perspective, I heard a different perspective, and it's a perspective that I would somewhat trust, considering the person and where they're from. And you'd have to listen. Look, Brothers of the Serpent's excellent. Give those guys a listen at any time. However, yeah, episode 340 with Andrew Collins, he goes into much more in depth with it. And it's just a little bit of a retraction from some of the stuff that I said, because maybe it's not true, right? And we need to be able to do that. We need to be able to say, hey, this is what I thought. However, this is the information that I've been presented, and now I can see a different perspective. Okay. Again, very wary of anything that Davos or the WEF or, and look, there's other stuff with Gunung Padang, and I'm very wary that they are wrangling their way into these ancient sites and what they potentially want to do with them. And I'm very wary of that. Like, it's not all one-sided. There's many sides. Well, there's only two sides to a coin, but yeah, maybe we should go with the shades of grey analogy. I don't think this one is neither black nor white. I think the answers and the real truth lies somewhere in the shades of grey. That being said, I want to get into this one. I wanted to delay it a little bit. We recorded this one on Christmas Eve. However, I wanted Leumas to get the full way to the downloads because it's his documentary. And then I thought I'd repost it in January just to give it a bit more of a bump. I will post a link to the Sacred Site trailer in the show notes. Unfortunately, the video for this one didn't work. Leumas is having a bit of trouble with that one. A little weird, that one, but anyway, we'll keep moving. We did go live through StreamYard, I think, Leumas' StreamYard, and the video can be tricky with that if it's not uploaded correctly, yet it's still a good episode. Always a pleasure sitting down with Leumas, and we got many more things on the horizon. Again, very privileged and honoured to be a part of Sacred Site. And we're already planning number 2, and the first one hasn't been released yet because there's many, many things to Sacred Site, and I can't wait. I've only seen little shorts. I haven't seen, you guys saw the trailer. I haven't seen much more than that apart from, I was in some of it. However, not too sure. I don't give you guys a date because that's up to Leumas, but as soon as I know, you'll know. There's fresh episodes coming up. I just did some tech work in the Sanctum, setting it up properly, and it's all coming together. Got a few little changes to make, however, really looking forward to this year. Happy New Year. The other reason I released this one now is I did talk about a few things that we probably need to focus on this year. And I'll leave the episode. Because me and Leumas are free balling, we ended up in weird places, which is, it has a tendency to happen if we don't have some notes in front of us. Have always a cool conversation. Look after yourselves. Looking forward to talking again soon. Take care. Cheers.
Welcome, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Chant It Down. I'm your host, Leumas, and this is episode 284. This is a live stream, and we're live streaming on YouTube and Rumble. And this might become a call-in show. I hope it does. I'll throw out the number later, and feel free to chat in the comments section. So shortly I will play the trailer for Sacred Site. So this is it. This is the trailer release live stream, and I'm happy to have a fellow brother with me today on this live stream, and that is none other than Triffin of Unlocking the Code. And we are live. Welcome, Triffin. Welcome to Chant It Down.
Good morning, mate. Well, it's morning where I am. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, it's exciting, man. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I've already seen the trailer because I'm sort of behind the scenes a little bit, and it's amazing, and I can't wait for everyone to see it and just for where it goes and where it takes us. I'm excited to be here, mate. So thanks for the opportunity.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate that. And we got Awaken Your Mind in the chat already. Welcome all the way from Europe, so I must be pretty late over there. Yeah, well, people are going to roll in, and feel free to chat. And so
comments are always welcome with this.
Yeah,
stuff. I love the comments.
Comments and questions will be great, and of course, we'll open up the phone line later. Triffin, I'm honored to have you on Sacred Site, one of the main people on the documentary. So we did some field work together back in September when I came down to Australia. It was great.
Yeah, it was excellent, man. It was excellent. The field trip was really good. We saw some stuff. I think we're already planning a second documentary. We haven't even released the first one yet because it's just always so much. It's like after you've left, I've found more files and I've found more stuff that I wanted to share. And it's like these secrets and these mysteries that we're looking into, they don't seem to have an end. So, we're always going to find more stuff, and I think there's more stuff being revealed as well. I'd like to get your thoughts on that a little bit later on. I wonder about that.
Sure, yeah. There's what's so exciting about Sacred Site to me is we're digging into things that a lot of people don't know about in the world, and we're doing our own research because the archaeologists and people that are supposed to be doing their job are not even doing their job, and they're not answering the right questions. So we're doing that job.
Well, being open-minded and seeing things from multiple perspectives and not shying away from the mystery, I think is part of what we're trying to do, because there's, as I say in the documentary, there's answers in the past that can help us in the present, that can affect our future. And I think that's what we're trying to do for sure.
Yeah. That's a great way of saying it, because I mean, what is bigger than our ancient past? Like this whole mess we're in on planet Earth now has to do with the fact that we don't have the coordinates to our ancient past and our true history. And so we're here trying to put it together for ourselves, So so the answers are certainly in the past. And of course, because of the people that run our society want to keep our ancient past and origins under wraps, we're behind in a way. We're like, we don't understand the full picture, but somebody does, and we're just trying to do our part, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a big part of it, mate, where I think if you control the past, you control the present. You know what I mean? I think because it's been steered. Our history has been steered. Our education system has been created. Our understandings of history are not what they are. It's not true, and I think we both know that. We've looked into this stuff for so long, and you find so many of these things that are claimed as gospel to be built on beds of sand, Loomis, because that's what they are. They're not. It's not actually real. It's I was reminded the other day. I was talking to someone. Someone was talking about Atlantis and the fact that everyone draws so many things from Atlantis, and it's literally three excerpts in is it Timaeus or Plato's excerpts. Basically, is where we get Atlantis from, and people have written PhDs on 500 words. It's like, how did you extrapolate that small piece of data into all this stuff, right? It's like, I think we need to be aware that we're looking at things and there's only a certain subset of data that we're all looking at and interpreting. However, what I find with a lot of this stuff is that modern archaeology and it ignores the key points, right? I mean, it ignores the things that are quite obvious to people like us, because it's like, well, this joins to that, and it's pretty easy to see. But the archaeologists refuse to see that. I mean, it's almost a doctrine or a religion that has been adopted. I think it's interesting, and as we've spoken about in the past on our past shows, is there a conscious destruction? Is there a conscious ignorance? I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, I think it's like most things in the system where you can, in any like tentacle of the system, you can go, like, say, into the medical system, and you go see a doctor, and they're going to prescribe you things that are actually bad for your health, but they think it's good, and they think, and it's just all built in to keep you sick. And they're just players in the game that they've been shown to play through their medical school, yet they didn't take any nutrition courses, So there's like, you can put that with the archaeology community too.
That's right.
They think they're just doing what, they were shown in school, and that's good enough. And that none of this other stuff matters because they said it didn't matter. They say, the Sumerian Kings list, which we do need to do a show on one day, is, those, none of that matters. Those kings, they didn't exist. Or the Zeptepi in Egypt, they didn't exist because their crazy lifespans. They won't touch that stuff. So they don't even wonder, because their professors said, "Oh yeah, don't worry about that." So it just goes on down.
Well, they were just joking, mate. They were just joking.
Yeah, it's just a big joke.
Well,
they're having a little bit of fun.
Do you know what's cool about this, Loomis, is this is the first time you've been in the sanctum as well. So obviously the last time you were here, it was all bare walls and plaster and all that sort of stuff. So this is the international debut of the sanctum as well. And part of the sanctum is the table. And one of the fine listeners named the table James. Shout out to James. He named the table the helm. So I'm at the helm in the sanctum. And part of the new sanctum is we've got a book, mate. So I just wrote Sumerian's Kings list. See, how we always have the shows, and no one ever remembers what we need to do.
Yeah, it's up to us.
trying to learn, trying to evolve, mate. But I think when it comes to modern archaeology, the one we talk about things this year. Obviously, we're heading towards the end of the year, and one of the things I didn't realize about archaeology this year is that they dig stuff up and then they bury it again for someone else to dig up.
Yeah,
right, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Like, I did, mate. This is there's all these things where they will find something and they will dig it up. They'll get their little pot shards or whatever it is they're looking for, and then they'll rebury it for the next generation to dig up and find their own stuff. They don't keep digging. Now, isn't that against what they're trying to do? I don't like that. To me, the mental aspect of that is like, what do you mean you you stop digging, you bury it, and you leave it for the next generation. What do you mean? Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Well,
Yes, I
yeah,
found that out this year. Yeah,
but
in a lot of cases.
I do want to say though that the Sanctum looks great. It's come a long way since I was there back in September when it was just plaster walls, and that looks like a really fun environment. UTC unlocking the code phase 3 is now happening, right?
It's in effect, mate. It's in effect. Yeah. Well, look, there's many more things that I want to do into the new year. I just basically, I did a live stream about the drones, which we can have a chat about later, probably, I would say.
Sure.
And I've done this one, and I did the break-in episode. So it's more of a soft start. There's a few things and the things that I want to do with UTC3 moving into next year. However, I'm just messing around with cameras, and I'm messing around with this and that and the other. Down in Australia on the East Coast, we've had a lot of rain the last couple of months, so I haven't spent as much time in here as I would like, sort of finishing it, like putting the finishing touches on it. However, I definitely will be doing that, and I'm looking forward to it, man. And then look, Chant It Down and our collaborations, and this is the reason that I do this stuff, because it's getting together with blokes like yourself and exploring these ideas and these mysteries is very important. I think, you're here to chant it down. I'm here to unlock the code. I think that's that's what we do, man.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, and I want to plug our swap casts. We've done so many now. I think around 7.
I think it is. Yeah.
And I have one to release that we did on the road.
I like that road. So I like that road. So it was good, man.
So I think it's a cool little medium that maybe isn't done enough, but on the road podcasts. So that'll be released after the documentary, because we're actually doing the field work when we're.
Yes, we were. That's right. Because I did think about that the other day. I'm like, how come we haven't released the road side? Oh, we're doing field work. We actually spoke about a lot of the stuff we were speaking about.
Yeah.
We can't. The secret squirrel business, mate. We can't. we can't. Not the cart before the horse, mate.
But the secret's about to be released soon.
Yes, man. And look, I'm so excited. It was very strange for me to see myself. I know you said that, because of the field work and our collaboration, that I got a fair chunk in the documentary, and I really appreciate that. And I think the thing is, mate, is that as we, you've done one now, you've learned all these lessons. We do it the second time. We do it the third time. It's going to be so much better. We're going to refine what we're doing. You're going to refine what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And you've got some awesome guests as well. When the listeners hear you rattle off the list, it's pretty amazing the people you got on. And I'm just sort of down there on the totem pole somewhere. However, it's cool, man. It's cool to be a part of. And I think this independent research, these independent documentaries, and is actually what's going to push the way forward, right? It's like,
agreed.
And another thing that a lot of people don't know, as I say, there's all these understandings, right? So obviously I was building the studio, but there's been so many culminations and understandings that have came in as part of preparation for UTC3. And did you know that like something like 90+%, I can't remember the exact number, but most advances in any field, doesn't matter, pick one, right, come from outside the field, not inside
it. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Well, people have people are indoctrinated. I think the word we're probably looking for with some of the stuff we talked about before is indoctrinated. People are indoctrinated into a certain way of doing things, and most advancements in any field come from outside the field, not inside the field. And we're outside the field. We're talking about things that people don't want to talk about, looking at things objectively that people don't want to look at. Because if we don't, we're missing pieces to the puzzle. I think, and Australia is obviously one of those big pieces, and that's
and we have the open mind for this, where these people that are in these professions, they can't see outside their square. They're just
that's right.
stuck in their little square. So, and that's great. And that's how this is going to advance. And really, I mean, it's bigger than just the ancient past, because like you said, it bleeds into the present. And so it really does matter. Like, I think, I don't know, this is like my heart, kind of like, this is the work that I love to do, versus talk about like what's happening now. But we have to talk about what's happening now too. But it's all connected. So it's all like, it's a big picture. And that's what this documentary is kind of about. It's about sacred sight as seeing with your eyes, and we need the sight, though we need to wear those eyes in these times. And that's kind of what kind of set. And then we're actually going to sacred sites, as in sites, places. So it just kind of, it's a double entendre. So that's
I like it. It's clever.
Yeah.
It's clever because yeah, but it's so true, man. You know, I think, you know, for those, myself and Leumas, you know, we spent a few days together. We talk offline. We don't always just talk on the mics. We're throwing ideas back and forth. You know, probably every couple of weeks we have a chat. You know what I mean? Depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
And we throw so many different ideas around. And I think that we talk about stuff that's going on now. If we knew that there was an ancient advanced civilization that existed post 13,000 years ago, or pre 13,000 years ago, I should say, and it was a truly global culture where color, creed, religion, sex, all these things didn't matter, and in some way we all got along with a common thread and a common thought, because we built these megalithic stuff all over the planet. It doesn't matter where it was from. If we understood that was actually capable, we were capable as humans of doing that, of seeing past the things that we've been told that make us so different, then a lot of the stuff that is causing the current chaos and has caused the current chaos wouldn't matter, because it doesn't. You know what I mean? And I think that's when we talk about, is there an agenda as to why, you know, look, we can bring two things together, right? The World Economic Forum planted some trees at Göbekli Tepe a few years ago, then bought Göbekli Tepe, said there was an endangered tree on there, and now digging stops in Göbekli Tepe indefinitely.
Yeah. So it's happening now. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, well, what are you doing? That's a weird thing to do. Like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you buy that? You know, you bought that. They bought it. How did they buy Göbekli Tepe, right? Through one of their funds or wilderness funds or whatever it is, because of these trees that it turns out that they bloody planted.
Exactly.
The trees weren't there to start with. They planted the trees and then said, you can't dig here because of the trees.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Göbekli Tepe has moved us forward. It is literal evidence of an advanced civilization 13,000 years ago. But I find there's as well, mate, there's hubris involved with these guys as well, because Kaharan Tepe and there's Kaharan Tepe. Actually, I'm going to write tepes down as well, mate, because there's another 3 or 4 tepes.
And there's Ionis Kalesi too, which is possibly the oldest temple in the world. By Lake Van in Turkey. This is just in, you know, like an area, like the guy that found Göbekli Tepe was like gardening or
he was a farmer,
farmer.
As the story goes. Yeah, he was trying to move a stone to clear his field back in the 90s or late 80s, early 90s, or whatever it was, and then end up being the top of a T-shaped pillar.
It wasn't supposed to be unveiled, I think.
No, but I think they're buying. They bought Göbekli Tepe, but at this point, they're not paying attention to the other tepes and the other stuff that's surrounding Turkey, which seems to be older. But I do think Göbekli Tepe was potentially. Look, we could discuss what that is. It reminds me of like a university or something. I think it was a place of learning, a place of worship. You know what I mean? I think it was a bit of a D all the above type thing, Göbekli Tepe. Obviously, geometry, astronomy, geology. You know what I mean? Like these things. Do you know what I find fascinating as well about all this stuff? And I haven't actually asked you this question. Isn't it interesting how a lot of these people just, oh yeah, it's just standing stones.
Yeah.
What? Hang on a minute. It's standing stones in a circle that face cardinal directions, and you know what I mean? Like this is, in order to get to that point as a civilization where you're doing a project like that for fun, right, or for religious purposes or whatever, it's always a religious connotation, right? It's always ceremonial, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many stages of basic human civilization you need to go through to get to the point where you do that, right? But then but if you're facing stuff due west, then you need to know what due west is, right?
Yeah.
You need the cardinal directions, you need geology, you need mathematics, you need engineering, you need astrology,
stone carving. You need to know how to
stone carving. You need to identify the stone. Is this stone actually suitable, right? And then we go back to Tepe, you've got 3D relief carvings. You're not just scratching something into the rock. You're bringing it out of the rock, which takes you again, right? That's another whole skill set again in order to make sure that happens, right? And it's like I think everyone says again, the propaganda that we've been under for so many different things and so many various things. Ancient event. Oh, you talk about aliens and crystal spaceships. No, look, we could have a discussion about that because we're open. However, maybe we're just talking about a seafaring race that
I can dig it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Derek.
yeah.
Bonjour, Derek, over in France. Yes.
G'day, Derek. Welcome, mate. Thank you very much for joining us today. Yeah, I think that the deeper I dig into this mystery, as much as I need to stand in front of the Great Pyramid, right? If the chaos of 2020 hadn't happened, I definitely would have done that already. But unfortunately, I had to keep a roof over my head during the chaos, finding my way back. However, as much as I need to do that, I sort of zoom out from these things now. You know what I mean? Like there's some secret squirrel stuff we can't talk about. You sent me yesterday. And it's like, well, how big is that? What direction is it facing? You know what I mean? Where is it facing? What are we talking about here? There's questions that we ask immediately now. It's like, oh, no, not pretty stones. Yeah, pretty stones is cool. But what level of understanding are we at is the question.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's I want to get in a little bit into the documentary, and I want to come back to exactly what we're talking about. It'll definitely tie in.
Yeah, do it, man.
Because
show
going,
the awesome people. Show the awesome people.
Yeah. So we're going into good. I mean, just to add in there's Gunung Padang. That's shown that's also about the same age. So there are places in the world that are being uncovered that are actually showing this age. And again, I think the World Economic Forum tried to stop stuff over there as well. I forget the exact story, but
yes, they did. Yeah, we'll come back to it, man.
Yeah, we'll come back to that, of course.
Show the awesome people the trailer.
Yep. Let me just
mute my mic and
let me just let me just explain a little bit about it. Don't have too many people yet listening, but this will be on YouTube for later for everybody to watch, and of course on the podcast feed. Although if you're in the viewing, only the listening audience, you're going to want to see this. I mean, this is a visual thing, and so you can't really hear it and go, oh, that was cool. So, but it's a trailer. But I've been having to put this podcast on the back burner a lot this year. Excuse me. But this iron in the fire is really pliable right now. This one I got, and this is the next step of things moving forward. Of course, the podcast will go on, and so what's the premise, you may ask? And if I could put it into it's about uncovering this ancient past that has been hidden from us, finding new sites, and uncovering the present situation we're in. And it's about having the sacred site with your eyes to really understand the world that we're living in. And this is like the vision of what the shaman, one who sees in the dark. And we need that sight for today's world. And so, who's in it? Well, of course, yourself, Triffin, and my friend Seb Bland, Zach Royer, both friends over on the Big Island, Mike Collins, Wandering Wolf, Nikiana Jones, podcaster and researcher, Ole Demigard, True Seeker, master decoder, William Ramsey, great investigator into so much, author, researcher, Sean McCann, true speaker, deep occult researcher, and just understands the fundamentals of freedom, and a friend of the show for sure. Paul Anthony Wallace, who is a author into the Eden series. He was a pastor. He's been on the show, and he broke off and really started to look at the Bible and really started to realize that there's a different story coming out of it here. And he has some great material, very well-defined mind in this. Great to have him on board. Bob Tuskin, a good friend of mine and true speaker from way back, old radio show host, and great to have his voice on there. And then Heather Arnold, who I recently connected with, who is a researcher into the giants of Aruba and a great female voice in this field. And so that's the cast, or you could call it, of this documentary, and a bit of myself in there. I've written, directed, and produced this myself. So this has taken up a lot of these years. So this juggle, that's why the podcast feed has been kind of slim, but it's okay. To me, it's been totally worth it. But it's been definitely a chore. Every between working a full-time job and having a wife and a family, this is the thing that I've been throwing in the mix, besides trying to give you guys a podcast here and there. Where it was filming locations. Well, this is a long time coming of different locations, but Egypt, Peru, England, Malta, Bosnia, Australia, my island, Oahu, Big Island, Kauai, and Maui. And I mainly use small footages from Egypt, Peru, and England. The movie is not really about those places, but uses those major sites as references, because originally this was going to be I went to Egypt and I was like, okay, I'm going to make a documentary about Egypt. But then I'm like, nah, everybody's done that. And plus, like, what can I add that's really new? So that's why I just use snippets from Egypt, but I go to some locations that people know less about. And that's how this came about. And the movie is not really about those as much, those places, but I want to make special thanks to Nikiana Jones for allowing me to use some of her Peru footage, because when I went in 2015, I only took photos, and I didn't know I was going to make a documentary, so I didn't do any videos. So I'm really happy to have some of her footage in there as well. So I want to give her a shout out. And we're going to be adding new sites to the radar of this lost ancient civilization of our distant past. The documentary is 10 chapters. It's kind of like a book, many different adventures, and Australia is one of them with you, Triffin. And I hope to inspire the adventurous spirit side of everyone to get out there and out of the house more. Hopefully the cinematography will inspire that as well, just to see it. We live in a big world. Why just, watch it through your computer? Of course, finances are understandable, but like, we can explore our own backyards. And I wanted to increase awareness, too, of our present situation, because as a lot of Chant It Down has been about just that. For those that don't know what's going on, I also help people understand their sovereignty and freedom, to understand real freedom. So it's all in there. And I think that it's a good mix of things, and I hope that people really enjoy it. I hope to release it at the end of January, or maybe just a little bit into February, just because of all of the damn little technical things that are going to be giving me a headache, and just the tedious things. So, but it'll happen. So here, let's go ahead without further ado, and let's go ahead and roll out the trailer, and I'll shut up, and we will go ahead and do this.
There is to our existence
Was there an ancient global civilization older than recorded history?
The civilizations that we now attribute to the creation of all of these sites are more likely inheritors.
This is one of several alleged pyramid sites here in Hawaii.
You know, there's stuff that exists in the time before time. And I think the time before time is prior to the last cataclysm.
Is there an entire missing chunk of Earth's history being hidden from us?
Whoever is in control of it has motivations for us not to know what's really gone on.
And I think when we see narrative control, it's like a red flag saying there's something to see here.
A large portion of archaeologists, sadly, are paid narrative pushers, and they are not paid to discover or uncover.
Because truth is hidden from us, we have to uncover those answers for ourselves. Here we are in Bosnia.
I sent this to a geologist, and his opinion was it was cut.
I think the reason that our true history is hidden from us is to keep us in a state of ignorance, to keep us from uncovering our history, our truth.
That is why the Smithsonian hides all this shit. That is why they give us a false timeline. You can control people better.
Control the past means you can control the present.
We're born into like a rocket ship, and they've taken away the owner's manual intentionally.
This problem nowadays is more or less always an alleged mass shooting, an alleged terror attack, an alleged financial crash, or a virus.
What they give us is mind control, and what we do is accept it.
So I think if you can see the same policies being used to manage human populations, to me that suggests an unbroken presence giving the same advice.
In human history, the standard of liberty isn't that common, really. And going back in human history, it's a slavery issue that goes back through the beginning of time.
So now it's the pyramid, and we're here. This is as far as we can go on the track. The road is washed out up ahead, so we literally are in the middle of nowhere in the jungle. We're just really excited because we've been hiking the Lost Jungles for 2 days.
It's everywhere you look, there's symbols and reminders of this world that we live in not being exactly what most people think it is.
Can we grasp a greater understanding of our ancient past, unravel the mysteries, and have a greater sight with our heart and eyes we must have for these times we live in? Sacred sight. All right, Seb, where are we going?
Looking for a pyramid.
All right.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah. So people that I've shown it to, like yourself, will just want to see more, and that's I guess what a trailer is supposed to do. But yeah, it's a fun journey. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, man, I think it's great. I think, and you know, kudos to you. As I say, there's this, and you are right. Like, you can explore your own neighborhood, but you know, rattling off some of the countries you went to, man, you spent a significant amount of your own time and resources to do that, and it needs to be applauded because it takes time and money to do these things, and it's a passion that we all feel. You know, like. I went down to Gosford at solstice in this year in winter time, and to see the glyphs, and it's money well spent, but there's time, effort, and money, man. And I really appreciate that you've taken the time to do that. I think it's very cool.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. I do, and thank you, Derek, as well. Thank you. It's kind of taken what we can. It's a culmination of things, but yeah, like you're saying, Triffin, it's like it is a lot of time and resources, and at times I wonder, is it worth it? You know, this is coming together, but it is worth it. It is just, I'm lucky to have family kind of a lot of different places in the world between me and my wife, so it helps for the travel to have that kind of base to land on or whatnot, but. Yeah, no joke. It's been a lot of money, not like a ton of money because I know how to travel cheap, but still like a lot of money and a lot of time, and but it's been worth it in the end.
Yeah, it is, man. I think it's a little bit of a left turn, but it's important to say as well because obviously I've experienced it doing the studio this year, and because unlocking the code hasn't been very prominent this year either. I've been focusing on the studio, and it's really, when you find something you have a passion for, and it's a personal passion, right? Yes, you've got to look after your family, you've got to keep the roof over the head, and all these sorts of things. These are priorities that need to be taken care of. But you also really need to find something outside of that, outside of the work you do, outside of your family, outside of it, and it's just for you. It's not, I do Unlocking the Code for me. You do Chant It Down for you, and it's a personal passion project. And I find that it gives you purpose, right? I think, for me personally, like, I'm sitting here, I love the desk, I love the table, I love the purple. Like, I'm sitting here quietly stoked with myself because I pushed to get all this done. And I know it's not finished yet, but it's like, you know what? This is actually going to, because of the energy and everything I've put into this, it's going to throw my show into the next iteration.
Yep.
And it's really cool sitting at the desk. I feel a lot better sitting here instead of in the chairs. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about things that take time and money and effort, but you've got to make that time, money, and effort for yourself, everyone, right? You've got to find that thing that gives you the purpose outside of, I'm a teacher by day. Leumas knows this, and my listeners obviously know that as well. However, one of the things I talk to my students about is don't live to work, work to live.
Yeah,
right?
important.
Collect your fun tickets and go and do something, right? Or have something else that you are doing. And I think, I'm just so stoked to be a part of this, man. I think it's our collaborations have helped propel me forward, have helped propel my ideas forward, and
same here.
To be on that list of those people, like, I'm gonna steal your Rolodex in the new year, by the way, as well, Leumas. I need a few.
Oh yeah, no. This whole cast of people should come together and collaborate.
Absolutely.
It's kind of interesting because I wonder if I threw everybody in the same room, like would they all agree? I think they're different perspectives on a big picture, and everybody agree, but like it's like grabbing people from all kind of walks of life and putting it together. So it's awesome because that's what gives variety, Yeah.
Oh, look, I think I've either listened to or I've spoken to a couple of those people over. What I find in this instance, well, sorry, I should reiterate. What I find with this topic is more now than ever, most people are open to different perspectives, right? I don't think we've all had our minds shifted that many times, and we've all had our understandings shifted that many times from ideas we thought were true, that most of us are open now. It's like, you know what? I'm pretty sure like this might be it, but as we've said before, Leumas, don't listen to us. We don't know what we're talking about. Like
we do your own research. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily know what we're talking about, man, but we're happy to share our ideas because I think that's what's important.
Mm-hmm. And it would be cool to see all of us on a roundtable follow up. Yeah, that would be cool. I would agree. Maybe down the road we will do that for sure.
Oh, mate, you make that happen. I'll be there. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah. I mean, and then there'll be. Already we're talking about a sequel because there's so many things that we can unpack. Like this is like a what do you call it? A taste platter or a sample platter of what we want to bring in the future. Like me just getting together with what I know as video skills. I mean, I'll get better the next time or whatever, but and capturing some of these sites, but then we'll get better the next time at doing those things at new places or re-examining another spot. So like say this is just really the beginning. So there will be sequels or a sequel or sequels. Who knows? I mean,
absolutely.
I couldn't even. So here's the conundrum I'm in right now. So I'm gonna probably make a director's cut, and then I'm gonna make either either it's going to be a regular hour and a half or hour and 40-minute long movie, or I'll split into two parts, because I know people's attention spans these days aren't very good, but but we'll see. But like already, just without a director's cut, I'm afraid it's going to be about an hour 30, which is pretty long in as it is. But that's what I mean. Like, there's so much to cover, so that's why there has to.
Oh, look, again, I've sent you so many messages. Hey, man, do you want me to send you this? Do you want me to send you that? I found this. I found that. I found this. It's like, well, no, I can't. It's not a documentary on Australia,
but it's part of it all.
We got so much,
There's so much, so it's going to be, there's more for the next time. Yeah.
And there's more stuff being revealed down here as well that I'm sort of starting to dig into as well. So it's like we can't. I like what Paul said there. I want to come back to what Paul said, Paul Wallace, because he said, when you see an overlaying narrative, I think that's what we see here in so much of this stuff, man. There is an overlaying narrative to hide whatever our true past is. I think that's, which is why there's so much, because it's, and the thing is, like, we're not casting the stones here, Leumas. We're looking at sites, we're looking at evidence, we're looking at as much good evidence as we can to form an opinion. And there is a narrative, man. There is a narrative. There is a distraction narrative that is behind all this that is stopping us from understanding. Stopping us from understanding what our true past and true history is. And I like the whole sacred site. Like, it's more than a double entendre. There's so many different ways. It's like you can be standing at, and the thing is, I've seen it. You stand at the site, and people still don't see what they're seeing. You know what I mean? It's like, like how you could stand at the Gosford glyphs when you get into that site and go, oh yeah, this was done by university students in the 70s. What? No, it wasn't. Right? There's just no way that it was. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all that it was. Yet that is the accepted general narrative. Like, it's, so you've got to have, you can be at the site, but you might not have the site to see the site. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's true. You could go, you could totally believe the official narrative, or believe partly, or, and there's, and that this, I can probably say that is going in to be in the documentary, the Gosford Glyphs. So, and we'll leave it at that. But
we'll leave that there. Look, there is more stuff going on behind the scenes with the Gosford stuff. There's multiple episodes that I've recorded about that. That's part of UTC3. I can reveal now that we went down there at solstice in the winter time, and just to do some measurements and some exploration. And it was a very, very interesting trip. There's more science-based stuff going on behind the scenes. I do know that there's some stuff currently being looked at by a professional to have a look at different tool markings and all sorts of stuff, man. There's, it's but I do think as well, like, or where did you want to go, mate? Where did you want to go?
I'm good with wherever now. I've shown the trailer, and that was my purpose here. But I mean, we can go. I think it's good to just say that our work is unfinished. So much more to do.
Yeah, whatever you see from me in the documentary, whatever you see me and Leumas talk about in the documentary, it's nowhere near done. It's nowhere near done. And there's so many layers behind the scenes that we're trying to join together, and potential understandings. And I think, and look, not all of it works out, does it, mate? You know what I mean? Sometimes you go and explore something and there's nothing there. And that's part of what we do. That's part of what we do. I've done that a few times myself. It's like, oh yeah, we go here, we'll find something. Oh, there's nothing there. Oh, well, there's nothing there. That it is what it is, as far as,
that happens in the documentary. Yeah. I mean, but I don't mind showing that way of objective thinking in the documentary, because it shows that okay, we explored it, but it isn't what I thought it was. It's okay. Or or I had to go back to one place numerous times here on the island, and you know, I still don't fully know, you know, and that's how it is.
That's a good way to put it there. It's a good way to put it there, Derek. Yeah. Seems to be a status incomplete until we're all free and much more is unveiled. Yeah, look, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Have you been following the Uncharted X Brothers of the Serpent? They're scanning the vases, or whatever you want to.
No, not loosely. I've seen things from it, but yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. So, like, I'm currently listening to the latest unveiling of that, but basically, the precision behind some of these vases or chalices or whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to call them, containers, is the precision in these things is unbelievable, to the point where you'd have to say they've been engineered for a purpose. You know what I mean? And, you know, the evidence of the ancient advanced technology that is being revealed, right? I mean, that one of my presentations that I'm only part the way through was advanced technology, ancient advanced technology, and evidence of it, ancient advanced technology. I think it's all around us, you know, that we don't see, and yeah, until we're all free. It's an interesting question, right? Being the concept of being free, and being free to think about these different things. And do you know, I wrote a poem. It's a little bit of a left turn, but I wrote a poem about the COVID times, right?
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm actually going to do that again because a few people have asked me to reread that. I think I was a bit emotional the first time I did it because we're only just out of COVID. I think I could probably give it a much more cleaner read this time. However, one of the parts in that poem, one of the stanzas goes, "Yes, there's dark is rising. However, the light must rise to meet it." Right?
Yeah, I like that.
And I think the more pushback that happens about this stuff, the more stuff seems to be coming out, right? Like, I've wanted to do a show for a little while on Graham's season 2, you know, the Americas, Ancient Apocalypse, right? Because I learned, look, the last few episodes of that, I learned quite a lot. The first few was pretty much stuff we already knew. However, the last few episodes of that, I definitely learned a lot. And, you know, there's just so much evidence coming out for this. Like, it's like you can't, they try and squash it, but you can't. Like, it's like you can't.
Yeah.
It's coming.
They throw things at people like they're racist or they're, you know, disrespectful.
White supremacist.
Yeah, right. They just throw go ahead and throw it at us. But if someone actually looks at the fruits of it, it's of course not that at all. So it's great. And I just wanted to say, when you a little bit going back what you said a little bit, there is a section of this documentary that bleeds into, it's not out of nowhere, but into what is real freedom and natural law and understanding, you know, that we can be free. And I have all the people that are on, including yourself, on there, just little clips talking about being, you know, free and understanding, you know, the world in that way too, because that's very important to that we can be free, you know, but humanity doesn't want to make that choice at the moment.
No, it's a fascinating thing, man. It's a really fascinating thing, and as I say, the COVID times, as we seem to be calling them, revealed so many things to all of us, and it's about choosing how you interact with the system now, right? Like, I'm definitely not in the system anymore. I'm of the system, right? I've got to, you know, keep bills paid and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I'm of the system. I'm not in the system. And I do not engage with the system as, like, I didn't really prior to the COVID times, but I definitely don't now. Like, it's like, you know, I think there's a collective trauma that we're not quite talking about yet, that we all went through.
Yeah.
However, there's also what I see as well is there's a deeper understanding of, you know, you got to mention the Trump win in the US like that, and I think a lot of whatever's left of the free world, as we put it, and look, I think that's very loose terms, but is hoping that the Trump reverberation goes through all of our countries, because I think a lot of us, and you know, I see it down here. It's like Aussies aren't necessarily overt; we're more sort of covert, and in our pushback. But I can see it everywhere. Like, no one's listening to the bullshit anymore. Like, no one cares. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever, man. No one believes anything the politicians say. No one, and I don't think anyone should. You know, the modern media. You know, I think one of the things I want, it's probably too big of a topic for today, but I just wanted to mention it because I want everyone to think about it a little bit, is that if you're struggling at the moment with everything that's going on and everything else like that, I think one of the problems we're all dealing with that we find hard to accept and process is that everything is bullshit. Like everything, money, religion, science, you know what I mean? Like it's all bullshit. And that can either be very scary or it can set you free.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to let go of the fear, right? I think the fear base of modern society is, I didn't quite understand how. I've got a different perspective. This, as I said, this year's been probably the most enlightening year of my life. I think. I culminated. Yeah, I mean, I culminated a lot, dude. Right. You know, but if you look at me in the documentary, I'm about 15 kilos heavier than I am now. Right?
Yeah, you look like you've trimmed a bit, but
man.
Yeah, good for you.
Well, look, mate, it's once you do the mental work, right? Once you do the mental work, at some point you must bring it into the physical. And it was actually the documentary, man. It was the documentary was a part of it. It was doing the excerpts that you use of me sitting in that recliner was part of it. I realized that I'd gotten a little bit larger than I would want it to be. Because I've been focusing on the mental aspect of sorting my mind out. And the last 6 months I've brought that into the physical, and it's and changed my existence and the way that I do things, and I feel a lot better. However, we've got to remember that, right? I've lost my train of thought as to where I was going to go with that, but
well, work on yourself is I mean, if we got to free ourselves first. So
yes, that's sort of where I was getting at, right? It's like you can live a life of, you got to free yourself, right? Because I freed myself from my own mind, I think, is probably what I did this year. And through doing that, that's what I was talking about. Through doing that, I saw how much we're all still based in fear. Right. And that's a corny thing to say, you know, face everything in rise or whatever the Alcoholics Anonymous thing is, but or whatever it is. But you've got to release the fear, because the fear is all internal, man. It doesn't matter. You can, you know, whatever you're afraid of, you know, it doesn't matter. But most of it doesn't matter. There's very little you can do about anything in the world. You can only control what you can control. Focus on that, and remember that you are a 3-part being: mind, body, spirit. And where are you at with those 3 things? Right? So, you know, as I say, I focused a lot on the mind and the spirit for quite a while to, you know, deal with some of my own trauma and all that sort of stuff. And then, going on the solstice trip and, you know, there's a few things that revealed to me that I had let my body slide in what I was doing. So then I've corrected that course, you know.
Awesome.
because there's got to be balance. There's got to be balance and understanding. But I think everyone, you can do it yourself, right? It's balance, you know? And then that's how you make yourself free, I think. Yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting direction we took it.
Well, you know, but I think we all need to take that journey, and I've tried to promote that as much as I can on this podcast too. Is shedding the layers of the system in your mind, and then pulling yourself together and becoming the person who is not all those influences, and then and recovering. Because I heard somebody else say this, that if you're born on Earth, you have trauma, and we all have to.
We all do. There's no denying.
Yeah, and the collective has trauma since COVID.
Yes.
I mean, unresolved trauma, like the whole world. And we went into that when I came and joined you down under.
Yes, we did.
In the studio, we talked about how unresolved all of that is, and we just went back to work. We just went back to life, and we kind of ignored everything. And it's supposed to be normal. This new normal is not normal, but it's it's a analogy of how a lot of people are in society that just ignore maybe something that happened to him as a kid that gave him trauma, or if you went to a war and you fought in a war, and I know people like that have PTSD, they need to get over, stuff like that. We all have to work on ourselves, and we're not going to be good people to be around unless we work on ourselves. So we have to always have time,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, you do. Yeah. And again, bringing it back to your sacred site, having something that you can focus on and a passion that you can focus on gives you, it's like a star, right? It's like the North Star. You can come back to that, right? Yeah. And if we're talking about physical bodies as well, man, I'm so stoked that you dealt with your stuff this year as well, man. Like, I was worried for a little while. I didn't know how that was going to turn out, and I'm super stoked that has turned out really well. And
thanks. And for those that don't know, I had lymphoma last year, it was quite of a shocking year, and I think getting over it and coming out the other side really pushed me to live this year so much more even than I already was, and possibly, and that's why I ended up going to a lot of locations this year to film. I'm like, okay, let's get this done. Let's really do this. Let's live now. And I'm looking at that right now in the terms of my dad, who's currently in the hospital. He's not been taking good care of himself, and he's always talking about living later. And I'm like, you can't live for later. You have to live now. And
there is only now. The fact that we think that, oh no, we'll do it, it'll be done later, you know what I mean? Or you preoccupy yourself with past traumas in your own mind, and it doesn't allow you to move forward and enjoy the moment. There is only the moment. There is only now. There is nothing else, right? We don't. Yeah, it's fascinating to me that the corniest things are true, Leumas. You know what I mean? Like, love is the answer. Totally true. Live in the now. Totally true. Like, all these corny things, these, that we've heard for so many years, it's true, right? This is what we need to do. It's, and it's the thing is, man, with any of this stuff, it takes effort and discipline, as you know. Like, you've got to keep going back to the documentary. You've got to keep going back. I had to keep coming back into the studio. I've still got to keep coming back into the studio.
Yeah.
I haven't quite figured out how to make my board work properly yet. That's the next project. You've got to keep coming back. You've got to keep moving forward. And just find that thing. But there is no later.
Yeah.
There is no later. And I think I watch so many people that are either preoccupied with fear or preoccupied with the past or preoccupied with this or that. And it's like, it doesn't matter, right? It's either now or never. And, I think the other thing is too, man, one of my mantras that I really have employed this year and will continue to employ is peace, love, and go fuck yourself. Right?
Yeah.
right? To 99% of people, I've never spoke to Derek. Derek, that's cool, man. Let's have a beer when I see you. You know what I mean? 99% of people, peace and love, man. Let's have a good time. Let's get together and be cool and help each other. But that 1% of people who doesn't want to do that, then that's fine too. Go fuck yourself. I've got no time.
Yeah.
For people who waste my time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't have that time, and I won't hesitate now to tell people that if you know what I mean, if that situation arises, then no. The answer is no, and I'm totally okay with saying no. And I think a lot of people's past trauma, because a lot of my stuff was self-worth, man, right? And when you have not low self-worth, you will do anything for anybody to try and what would you say? Bring your worth up because your own personal worth is not worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to be a man pleaser or woman pleaser, just
whatever it is. It is. Yeah, you want to bend over backwards for people. And no, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that. And neither should anybody else, right? There's a meme that I like to use, and maybe we use this meme as a full stop. So I want to ask you about cognitive dissonance as far as drones are concerned.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Let's do that.
So just to full stop this, guys, and especially, it's the festive season, all this stuff, anything that goes on. The meme that I like to reference is, do not set yourself on fire for those that would watch you burn.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's good, right? I think, and yeah, I didn't mean that sort of. See what happens when we freeball, mate. We end up anywhere. We're supposed to be talking about megaliths.
Yeah, we do. It happens to me even by myself if I'm doing a podcast. I'm like, how the hell did I get over in this corner of things? Oh yeah, I got to go back over here. It's okay though. Yeah, it's good. But well, I would just say, if we're coming back to the documentary, that this you said it good earlier about how you got to have that thing you do, and outside of work, outside of family, or you just become kind of like a passive whatever. So you and this thing, well, podcasting too, and doing this kind of work is that thing that I do that, is an extent, helps me extend and grow through it. Like I've grown through this process a lot myself, like in so many ways.
Unbelievably so. Well, and as I said, man, me attending to my physical body had a lot to do with the documentary, because you were like, hey man, I'm going to come to Australia. I want to do some filming.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we caught up in September, I was down 5 kilos or something like that from when I started. And now I'm down 17 kilos, or what's that?
Wow.
30 pounds or something like that. Right.
Nice.
30 or 40 pounds, I think I'm down now. And a big part of that was, you know what, if I'm to represent UTC 3, and if unlocking the code is what I think it is to me, then I can't be, if I'm the one in front of the camera, then I need to present myself in a version of myself that I believe is worthy to do that. Right. So it's like, yes, you have the mental passion, the spiritual passion, and the physical passion, and they come together, man. You know what I mean? I think it's yeah, and I think you have that purpose, man. You have that purpose to do something, and the fact that you did the documentary. Look, I've edited a few podcast videos. I can only imagine what you've gone through. Like I could. You know what I mean? Like, because obviously we're podcasters. We've tried to edit video. We've tried to we can edit audio. We can do this. Everyone thinks that it's simple, but it's not, right?
Oh, no. It's really up my respect for anyone who does like YouTube for a living or anything, because like, wow.
A lot of content creators.
Yeah. I mean, it's this wall in here. I know I got the green screen on, but I've punched it quite a few times in here. Like that's just the only way I can deal with this shit. I'm like, and I had to turn it off, leave, like, and there's still things like that right now. Like I said, I probably won't be able to come out with it till February, just because I have to line up all the audio tracks right and mix them down. Plus, I think I'm going to another site to film. I decided, and so it's just like there's so much shit to do, and it's like 2 minutes of screen time could be all day. And it's like
all day, yeah,
all fucking
day.
day. And then you're
Yeah.
like, that wasn't very good. And then it's terrible. Before I get any further, let me just do this real quick, because I said I would on the social media. I would throw out the call-in number so we can get a few calls, and maybe someone wants to join us as well and talk. I'm probably going to only do this for probably 25 more minutes because I got to do something with my wife, but this is
I'm gonna have to keep moving. It's Christmas Eve down here, mate. I better keep moving.
We got the day off, surprisingly. So, but I have a call in. I know some of you are international, and that's a little harder. To be +1 area or country code 937-783-7259, and I will answer your calls that way if you wanted to. But anyway, let's keep on talking. Triffin, what was it? We were going to kind of segue into drones a little bit, cognitive dissonance. I kind of wanted to touch on that with you because I haven't talked with you about that yet.
No, so cognitive dissonance, number one, what in the bloody hell's going on? And it's not, the thing is, people go, it's only America. It's not only America, right? The corporate media is not reporting it. We did a live stream for 3 hours the other night on this stuff. And these drones and orbs have been seen all over the world, man. Yes, it's been concentrated in America. However, these drones and these orbs have been seen everywhere. Obviously, the easy thing to say would be Project Bluebeam, which, everyone seems to have Tourette's, Bluebeam.
Right.
But also, it's amazing how quickly it's now gone out of my algorithm, right? Now, I don't know whether that's Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or whatever it is manipulating that, but are they still going on? This is a few days later. I don't know whether they're still going on. However, what do you think, man? What because they're not saying that, the problem is they're not telling us anything. Right? They're not even bullshitting us. It's like, you could just feed us some bullshit. Like, that's what you normally do, right? You could just lie to us. What do you reckon, man? What do you reckon?
Well, I've been a sky watcher for so many years now. So for me, I'm like, okay, finally people are starting to see things up there. And I've seen a lot of anomalous shit since anomalous stuff since years ago now. And by the way, one made it into Sacred Site as we were camping. So you'll have to see that when it comes out. But I think we're looking at quite a few different layers of things here. I think there is things up there that are not man-made on this earth, as far as I've found a telepathic connection where it's like, hey, look at me. And it these things will flash like a power up at you, and like, whoa, and it's happened to me quite a few times out here. Then there's layers, like there could be this Project Bluebeam kind of thing, like let's slow drip disclosure to people and make a fake alien invasion. It's possible, but when you really look into Project Bluebeam, it came from one guy that has some uncredible things. His name's Serge Bernat.
Serge Bernat. It's not. Look, it was so for the live that I did the other night. Because everyone was like, as I said, saying Project Bluebeam with Tourette's. I'm like, well, hang on a minute. What is Project Bluebeam? It had been a long time since I dug into it. And you're right. Yeah, Serge, just Mr. Bernat's, and it was a single book. It goes to what we're going back to the start, mate. That was one book that was brought out in the 70s that every person has then extrapolated everything. You know what I mean? It's like it's built on a bed of sand, like most things. But I wonder. Yeah, look, it's interesting, right? I think the orbs and the drones are separate. Right?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
I think the orbs and the drones are separate things. So Angus, one of my compatriots from UTC, he believes that it's the ocean people coming to say hello, right? Because,
Yeah.
we talk about cognitive dissonance. It was like 3 weeks ago or something like that, mate, that, the Congress confirmed that aliens live in the ocean. And everyone went, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
it's the reaction of people that makes me like, shouldn't that be top headlines? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be the top headline on every corporate media news source around the world? Like, they just confirmed that aliens live in the ocean, which is what we've been. Well, me and you've said that for years, right? I mean, I think one of the reasons that you see them out at Hawaii is that they're coming out of the ocean, right? We've got no idea what's in the ocean,
Yeah. Yeah.
So the ultra terrestrial, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, you know what I mean? Like and this was my thought, right? Because it's like we had to come up with our own thoughts. My thought was, is this the deep state kicking back because Trump won? Right? You know what I mean? Like there's the shadow civilization, or what do they call it? The shadow.
Oh, the breakaway civilization.
The breakaway civilization is the
Yeah.
terminology that they like to use.
Yeah.
The breakaway civilization has been developing anti-gravity tech for a long time. They've developed it. They can use it, and now they're showing us.
Yeah. Yeah. So then there's that. But going back to Bluebeam a little bit too, this community of truth speaking people, I have a lot of love for it, but then there's a lot of people that are just parroting what they hear, like you say, like Tourette's, Project Bluebeam, without examining
whatever the flavor of the moment is, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they've become a choir of their own voices and humming along with their own choir, like, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, I agree with it. But there's not, if you really look into Project Bluebeam, there's not a lot. There's
not a lot to it.
I have to go back to my notes on it. But the other thing that people look at is Werner von Braun. So this goes with the breakaway civilization too, because he was apparently maybe part of it. But the Nazi scientist, he said on his deathbed that there'll be 4 things that are going to happen: the Cold War, then terrorists, and yeah, we can check those off the boxes, and then asteroids and then aliens. And he said none of them will be real. But what we're going by is one lady's testimony that was there at his deathbed, supposedly. And like, again, we're just going by these little things thinking. Now, I'm sure that the
tiny little beds of sand, mate. Nothing's really built on. It's not real, Like
yeah, and I'm sure the powers that shouldn't be would love to have that kind of fear and control and unite the world under this banner. But I think there's more elements involved in this. I don't think it's just as simple and basic as it's Project Bluebeam. That's all it is. It's like,
no, I think, do you know what? It does come back to this ancient civilization stuff, mate.
And it does, exactly.
What if they're ultra terrestrials, man? Right? What if they're us from the past, or us from the future, or another version that is. What if the UTC thing, as you know, man, is what if 1% is true, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if 1% of all the things we've heard about, Space Force, right? What if 1% is true, right? What if 1% is true about the underwater aliens? What if 1% is true about all these different UFO sightings? What about the Fae? What about fairies? What about angels and demons and influences and these things, right? It all... we talk about unlocking the code. I had no idea what I was doing when I said I'd unlock the code. Right? I had no idea, because it joins, man. There's so many things that join together. And I do wonder, I'm hoping it's the good guys, number one, if it is ultra-terrestrials or interdimensional extraterrestrials, whatever, revealing themselves so we don't do World War III. Right. I really don't want to experience that. I don't want my kids to experience that. I want our civilization to find its feet on a global sense, realize that love is the answer, and then move forward together. And maybe that's what's going on. maybe not. I don't know. You know, with some of these ships and drones and stuff, I think you've got to bring in the TR-3B into the conversation. I think that they cracked anti-gravity sometime in the 2000s. I think they cracked it properly.
Yeah, some people think even way back, like 30s and stuff.
Well, yeah, look, you want to go to Otis Carr, we talk about 1950s, right? That's actually some, you talk about my back catalogue, there's a really few really good episodes on Otis T. Carr, who technically built the XTC-1, which was an anti-gravitic spacecraft from scratch using Tesla's stuff in the 50s. And actually the one of the keys to that is that he never told anyone what the neutrons were. So I could bring the blueprints up. You know what I mean? I've got 400 folders on the computer here. And there's these things that basically control it. Now, I think the neutrons were made from magnetite. Now, curiously, guess where magnetite is found, Leumas? Around Hawaii, around Bermuda, around all these different places that all these sightings happen. There is a concentration of magnetite. And if magnetite is one of the keys to creating anti-gravitic vehicles, then it pays to, you know what I mean? It's like
it could be layers. Like
that's D all the above, man. Why can't it be D all the
right? It could be a lot. So you could have a faction of people putting out these drones to try to do this slow drip disclosure to a fake alien invasion, or to distract us from something that's actually happening really up there, you know?
Yes.
And I just wish people would have more of an open mind on it. And the fact that people don't believe in a multi-populated universe is kind of weird to me. Like I said this on I did a drive around recently, no, just like this off the cuff, but I was like, I think there's a group of people, not group, but a lot of people that are afraid of an expansive universe. They're afraid that there's more than just us out there or in there dimensionally or all of the above. That it scares them, so it's easier for them to say it's all fake, it's all the New World Order, you know. And I hear that so much that I'm not part of that either, you know. I take it all in and I go, well, could be. I think there's a lot of layers, a bunch of layers to this thing, and to unravel this picture is hard.
Yeah, D all the above is how I like to look at it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like I'm not going to take A, B, or C. I'm going to take D, all the above, until I'm shown something that tells me otherwise. I think, you know, and again, you talk about the truth movement or the truther movement. You talk about, you know, it's actually quite fascinating. One of our fellow podcast compatriots is going through his first podcast burnout, which you know about that. I know about that. And when you do a show by yourself, you're doing it all by yourself. But then you do so many different shows and you have your mind twisted that you sort of walk away for a while, right? Because it's like, you know, because even in any of these, I remember, like, it was actually the Gympie trip that you know, that how all that ended. Basically ripped the rose-colored glasses off my eyes, as opposed to, I thought we were all just trying to figure out what this ancient civilization was, man. I thought we were all just trying to be cool and be brothers and sisters and all that sort of stuff. But there's a bunch of infighting and, oh, no, my idea is the right idea. You must comply. No, I'm not complying to any idea. No, I'm not going to say that one person is right and one person is wrong, because you both drew that opinion from the same set of data that I'm drawing my opinion from. And it's just that, you know, opinions are like arseholes, mate. Everyone's got one. You know what I mean? Like it's, and unless you can get to the point where you can free your mind or awaken your mind, as Derek is tagged there, you're going to be stuck. And like I said, the big revelation to me and the understanding that I didn't quite know the depth of this year is how much fear everybody is actually truly under. When I released my own fear, and it was mainly fear of self, if I'm honest, but when I released that key fear within me, I see it everywhere, man. And I think that's the control, right? And you know, it's. Look, I think we're in for a crazy 2025 as far as all this stuff is concerned, man. But to me, it excites me. It excites me. I think let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It shows us that there's a greater, more interesting and miraculous world than just going to work every day and doing what everybody does. And that's actually what maybe is one of the most biggest underlying themes in the whole thing of Sacred Site too, is that the world is much more, was much more, and more. We're just in this little dimension that they want us to be in.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
And I've always wanted to show that. And so that is shown definitely in Sacred Site. So if anything, it's going to get people to think, wow, you know, because I want this to be for all people, not just the people that are just into this, but I want it to be for everybody to go, oh, wow, there is so much more to this world. And
open your mind.
Open your mind. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's all good, man. They're all good, Derek. I do understand the international calls, but another time, perhaps, maybe. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Derek, if you another time, if you wanted to join us, mate, we can send you a link and you can jump in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah. This is the, you know, it's always good. I think part of my show, Unlocking the Code, is yes, I like interviewing, you know, prominent people in different fields and all that sort of stuff, as a lot of podcasters do. But the core of my show was actually just general people. You know what I mean? It's like just friends that I knew and other people that I ran into and interesting people to gather their perspective, not necessarily because they're professionals in their field, but just because they're interesting people. Because in my travels, and as you would understand as well, Leumas, man, you run into some amazing people with crazy ideas on when you know. And I spent most of my 20s, albeit I was working, but I traveled a lot of Southeast Asia and Australia, and I met a lot of very interesting, cool people who just had an interesting story to tell. And it's one of those things, man. I think you just got to open your mind. Just don't tie yourself to any idea. Because the thing is, we don't have the right idea. This is the whole point. We wouldn't be in the conundrum and the quandary that we are in if we had the right idea. And obviously we don't. So if we don't, that's cool. However, we got to find our way forward. And the only way to do that is to free yourself from whatever you think you know, right? Because, you know, as I sit here on Christmas Eve and we're about to wind this up and I better go and get back to my family, and you better as well, mate. Don't be attached to anything, right? Wow. And the only thing that I'm actually sure of, Leumas, is that I don't know anything, mate. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I know. The one thing that I know is that I know nothing. Yeah, trivialities and half-truths. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I want to plug Derek, by the way. I just want to plug his top podcast, which is Dissolving the Divide with Leslie. And I came on there. And Derek, you do great little montages of videos with great music and stuff. So I just wanted to plug Derek that way too before we leave. But yeah, totally half-truths. And people just stand by it like, oh, this is my idea, you know, this infight and stuff. And like, look, that whole flat earth thing has been pretty much dissolved.
Flat Earth,
24-hour sun.
Yeah.
Oh, they found the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. I mean, we already knew it, you know, but now, it's just like, come on, man. And all that infighting for nothing, you know, just
for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, Derek, man, reach out, brother. Reach out. Let's do some collaboration. I'd love to have you on and spread the word. I'm in Australia. You're in Europe, so we'll have to. Time is always a funny thing, but I'd love to have you on, man. Let's get together and collaborate. It'd be great, and I love that. I love the fact that another podcast has jumped in, given us a listen, and is chipping in. I think that's fantastic. I saw the other day when we were discussing the drone stuff with the boys, because we were sort of prepping for the show behind the scenes, you know, and everyone's like, oh, I don't know if it's this drone or that drone or this thing or that thing. I'm like, can we stop for a second? there is unidentified flying objects in the air over the east coast of America, over Europe, over South America, and it's all happening at the same time. Can we let go of, is it a DJI Spark? And can we go, hey, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? Like, because that's the bigger point. We get stuck in, again, trivialities and half truths. It's very true. You know, we need to have a bigger picture, and release the need for a team. I'm team human, man. Team human, right? Nothing else matters, right? I think that's
absolutely.
Oh, brother, awesome.
Well, we are on the verge of a whole new era for both of our shows.
Yes,
and this documentary is going to just bring it into a whole new realm. And
absolutely,
I hope that we can get doing some missions together, going down some.
Oh,
more.
mate, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love to do that. I need to get to Egypt. I need to get to South America.
Yeah.
And if we can line it up, I'm going to drag you along with me because you've already been. Well, it doesn't hurt to have someone who's been there to help steer the ship a little bit. You know, collaborations with Derek, collaborations with awesome people, and you know the people you've got on this documentary. As I say, it was humbling to see myself and to know that this is part of part of a much larger thing. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. Thank you for our collaborations thus far. And I think it's up and away, mate. You know what I mean? We're going to move forward together. We're going to explore together. Like I'm going to, you've inspired me. I'm going to get some cameras. I'm going to make sure I take my own footage when I go out as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, so we can add all that to the pile.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's
and you've inspired me too. And every time I listen to your show, you inspire me, and then we collaborate, and it's just been awesome. So I'm so for it. And so this is a new era coming out. And 2025 should be a promising year.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think so. Onwards and upwards, brother. Thank you very much, Derek, for joining us this morning, and anyone else who's listening out there. And I'll get your details off Leumas. We'll do some behind the scenes stuff there. I'll find you, mate. Let's do some collaboration. And I think to everyone else, just have an awesome Christmas. Have a good New Year. Thank you very much for the time and opportunity.
Thank you, everyone, and look forward to Sacred Site coming your way. And the trailer's here. I'm going to release a trailer on all my social media platforms, and it's going to be out there. So much love to everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again. All right.
Good on you guys. Thank you.
Just want to go again?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Go again.
All right. I know you been here before. No surprises settle the score. I know the darkness deep inside. Reckless rage, poison pride. I know the anger, I know the pain, and I know the fear we do not name. And the one who comes to find me when my time is through, I know you, I know you. Wow! Better.